In early 2021, students from Awards for Young Musicians Furthering Talent programme were invited to perform at the Music for Youth Festival in Birmingham, their first opportunity to make music in a group since the pandemic. To celebrate the return of live music, a piece was composed especially for the event, with young musicians from 6 of our Furthering Talent partner hubs in Bradford, Brighton, Hull, Leicestershire, Manchester and Wiltshire, all participating in online composing sessions on Zoom. Led by multidisciplinary musicians Yshani, Perinpanayagam and Tom Lawrence, the piece uses recordings of students from the 6 Furthering Talent hubs. This is the story of how Grow Wild was created. The music you will hear throughout is from the project.
When I was first approached about Grow Wild, my head was filled with lots of thoughts. I suppose having done so much stuff online by this point during lockdown, my concerns weren't so much about, I've done this so much before in big halls with groups of people being right there in front of me. I'd been doing quite a lot on Zoom and trying to get collaborative processes to work in that way. I suppose that was less daunting, but the scale of the project and what needed to be achieved in terms of time frame and slotting all the parts together and making sure everyone felt safe and like they had a chance to contribute in that time and feel really creatively heard. My brain was buzzing with that.
I got involved with the Grow Wild project because I think it started with the kids that I teach for the music service in Hull. So I've got a couple of kids on the Furthering Talent project, and we had a meeting with our music service staff, and we heard about this potential possibility for this project, a composition project involving kids from across the country. And the exciting thing about it was that it was aiming for a performance at the Music for Youth Festival, which is something that we normally get involved with in the music service in Hull anyway. It was really positive because it came at a time when we hadn't been able to do anything sort of live in person for such a long time. And this project felt like maybe the first thing where we were starting to aim for something in the future, that, you know, something positive in the future again. There had been a long period of time where we felt like things were on hold. And this felt like something that was really, you know, looking forwards and having something to aim for and work towards, which was really great.
The previous year had seen a massive increase in the use of Zoom to continue music tuition. Furthering Talent teachers had been keeping their lessons running once a week via the platform. While the technology had become part of our lives, realising a creative project of this scale wouldn't be without its challenges.
I have to admit, a bit sceptical at the beginning about doing a composition creative sort of project on this scale with so many kids involved over Zoom, using the technology, my experience and previously of trying to do sort of music making activities over Zoom hadn't always been that positive. So I was slightly skeptical about how we could make it work, but I was really excited about having something to look forward to and work towards and, you know, get kids excited about, which was really valuable at that time particularly.
The biggest challenges of the project were very basically what you might expect, internet issues, and that there was a bias obviously towards certain instruments which made it hard, and in terms of people where the setup was perhaps in groups, it felt quite tricky to again make sure the sound was relayed to us in a way that really represented what was being said creatively at the point of origin.
Can we try muting Harry's computer, which is frozen, and just get him to play, or whoever to play, and unmute Rosie and Eve's one?
Great.
To overcome the technical difficulties, Tom and Yshani decided to embrace them, using the distortions and accidents in the creative process. Soon enough, the project began to grow.
We started working with the kids on this piece with the idea of growth and springtime and things emerging out of the darkness, and that was the starting point for some of the sort of games and musical kind of idea sort of generating things that we were doing with the kids.
Yeah, adaptation. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great word. That's a really good starting point for some music as well. How would you write adaptation music? Interesting.
And as we did more workshops and we worked with different groups, the ideas that they were coming up with kind of became more, they became sort of more magical in some cases. They became more mysterious. The sort of ideas that they were coming up with made us feel like this piece was kind of growing out in ways that were maybe slightly sometimes chaotic or slightly sometimes out of control, but they had a sort of organic sort of feeling to them. That was what Yshani and I sort of talked about in terms of creating or trying to, pull the ideas together into a piece.
Go on. Oh, Jenny's gonna do an animal.
Oh, we've got another animal coming.
Wait, that's very. Anyway.
I think what I love is the amount of dissonance in it, which I think really summed up how everyone was at the time. And I think, myself certainly included, we all got a lot of pleasure out of just making sound, making chaotic sound, knowing that other people were doing that with us. A slight enjoyment maybe in Zoom struggling to capture that was kind of also delicious. 2 groups. So first group, give it everything you have, and then response, everything you have. So first group, go. Yes! But the amount of dissonance that came around, and actually some people really coming round to the idea of ugly sounds as being expressive. I like the kind of dirty grooves that came around and stuff that was just, there was some really beautiful stuff as well, and to contrast the fact that there was this sort of earthy, grimy, I don't know, underpinning to it all, I thought was really great.
Is everyone fairly happy about what's involved in terms of the performance on 10th of July? Are you guys all up for coming to Birmingham?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
After months of workshops, recordings and rehearsals, the young people were ready to perform at the Music for Youth Festival this summer. However, sadly, due to the ongoing pandemic, the live event had to be cancelled.
I don't think it was a massive surprise. So at that point in time, not many things were happening live. Not many live events were happening. It was very difficult to do anything in person. And, we all understood how difficult and how much work would be involved in putting something like Music for Youth on. But having spent a good period of time over the previous weeks and months working with these groups of kids and kind of building this piece, which was all about looking forwards and looking positively and looking towards the future, where we were starting to feel like things were getting better and maybe we were finding our way out of these difficult times. It felt like we were letting them down when we had to sort of tell them, I'm really sorry, but we're not going to be able to do this performance that we've been talking about. So that was really hard. Yeah.
While the project didn't make it to the stage as intended, it was still an enormous achievement and a valuable learning experience. Tom and Yshani reflect on the creative process and how this method of music making may be used in the future.
I learnt a lot from being involved in Grow Wild. I learnt even further how much contact is possible through a screen, even though it feels strange. It's like you don't feel the fruits of it immediately back through the screen, but then when the material came through and the chat came through, you could really tell that connection was happening. It's just you don't get it fed back to you in the normal kinds of way.
So would anyone like to share? Cyrus, I can see you playing along. Have you got anything you'd like to share with us?
So basically, the chaos, for some reason, I wanted to make it more chaotic. So while it was playing, I did.
Love that.
I think the biggest thing I learned from being involved with this Grow Wild project was just that you can do creative music making. You can do this kind of project remotely. It just hadn't occurred to me, prior to lockdowns and prior to having to work online, and it just never occurred to me that you could do sessions over Zoom with kids from all different parts of the country and make it work and make something that felt you were getting proper musical conversations going. Even when we go back to being able to do things in person, this is a fantastic thing to add on. You don't necessarily need to be in the same room with somebody to be able to have a proper musical interaction with them, which is fantastic and something I hadn't thought of really before.
Despite the live Music for Youth Festival being cancelled in July, Grow Wild continued. The festival moved online and the piece was premiered on YouTube. And since then, the children who took part have continued to practice their parts and have been meeting in person to rehearse. AYM are working with these 6 hub partners to bring all of the young people together in 2022 to finally perform Grow Wild live together.
I felt really proud and surprised when I first heard the piece because I never expected it to happen.
I really liked it kind of had like a mystic vibe or something.
When I first heard the piece, it sounded amazing and it was really fun to listen to.
I felt really happy because it was really good hearing the sounds we made into this really cool big song.
It's one of those things that when you play on the trumpet it sounds good, but when you put it on a recording it sounds even better when you hear it back from a recording.
I felt very excited because I knew that I'd put some of my ideas into this.
This is my first time composing a piece of music and I would love to do it again.